Hi fashion lovers, you're welcome to another interesting video. In today's tutorial we are going to be learning how to make this stylish Bubu shift dress with a drawstring on the waist. You can call it a Bubu dress, you can call it a shift dress. It has is a cut together dress that has a drawstring on the waist, just like what you're seeing on the screen. So if it is something you want to learn, you need to keep watching this video. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you find it very interesting. Let's dive into the video. To get started, I have 2 yards of fabric and I have a plain material here. This fabric is just a pieces of fabric that I have left. So but if you are going to buy a fabric, you can use half yard of the plain fabric and 2 yards of Ankara fabric, or 2.5 yards depending on how big you are. So as you can see, I have folded the fabric. So the width of the fabric is my body circumference, my highest body circumference. My highest body circumference is my hip. You divide by 4, and whatever you have, you make sure you have like 4 to 5 inches left. So my hip circumference is 38 divided by 4 is going to give me 9.5 plus it's going to give me 9.5 plus I have plus 4 inches left. Did you see? I have plus 4 inches left. So that's the width of the fabric I'm working with. So and I have 2 of it, the back and the front. As you can see, the front has like 1 inch on the front part of it, on the center front. So I'll go ahead, divide my hip by 4 and mark, and then add 4 inches. 3 inches is for the ease, while 1 inch is for the sewing allowance. On the upper part here, I'm going to mark half of my shoulder measurement and then mark 6 inches. 5 inches is the length of my sleeve and 1 inch is for the sewing allowance of the sleeve. So I'm using 5 inches or 5.5 inches for the length of my sleeve, because I'm still going to be adding a band to the sleeve from the style we are working with. So from that point, I will come down by 1.5 inches. So on the upper part here, I will mark 3 inches and take my shoulder slope. You can see all my measurement is coming after that 1 inch that I left for the center front. All my measurements are coming after that. So the front is the one that has 1 inch, or you can put 1 inch or half inch on the center front, and the other side is the back. So from the shoulder slope, you are going to mark your armhole opening, which mine is 7.5 inches, but I use 8 inches, and then I added 1 inch for the sewing allowance, 1 inch for the sewing allowance. So the next thing you want to do is to check your highest body circumference, divide it by 4. So I'm using my hip, which is the highest body circumference. Then I'll go ahead and add 4 inches to it. Did you see? So I'm not using my bust, I'm not using my waist, I'm using the highest body circumference, which is my hip. So on that point, where I marked my armhole, I went ahead to measure 1/4 of my hip measurement plus 4 inches. The 3 inches is for ease and 1 inch is for sewing allowance. So I'm going to mark whatever I have down to the hem part. So I do not mark my sleeve, I do not mark my waist circumference, I do not mark my bust circumference. I use my hip, which is my body circumference, the highest body circumference. If yours is your waist, you can use your waist measurement. If it is your hip, you use your hip. So I'm going to extend it to get to the hem of the dress. So after I've done that, I will make a curve here. It's not going to be straight, it's going to be a curve like an armhole. So did you see that? So the next thing is to now take the length of the top of the dress. So I want the length to be like 40. I don't want it to be that very short. So I'm going to be using 36 inches because I'm going to be extending, I'm going to be adding the down part. So but what I actually marked is 36.5. Half inch is going to be the joining of the plain fabric on the mouth. So you can use between 3 to 4 inches for the plain the plain fabric on the mat. So for me, I'm using 4 inches. I don't want it to be very short like what we have on the main or the dress length that we have. So I'll just go ahead and cut off this part. So the next thing you want to do is to take your neckline. Bear in mind that the one down is the front and this one up here is the back. So I'll just come down by 1.5 inches and the width is 3.5. The width of the neckline is 3.5 and the depth is 1.5 inches for the back. Now for the back, the width is 3.5 and the depth is 1.5 inches. So I'll just go ahead and connect my neckline for the back. Last thing is to mark the neckline for the front. So I'm going to be using 8 inches. 8 inches for the one in the front. Did you see? That's the one that is extended. So I'll just go ahead and make a V neckline because it's going to be a V neckline for the front parts now. But then I'm going to go ahead and cut out the back, and as I'm cutting out the back, I'm adding ½ inch sewing allowance to it. So let me just cut with the front part here. So as you are cutting the shoulder also, you're adding ½ inch sewing allowance since you are cutting directly on the fabric. After you are done cutting, you want to remove this, like mark out the line on the other down part. Then you want to go ahead and mark the front neckline. So this is the front now. You want to mark the front neckline, remove the back so you'll be able to cut out the front neckline. So as you're cutting the front neckline, you are also adding ½ inch sewing allowance to it. Then you want to go ahead and open up the front part. After I was done, this is what I have, as you can see. So this is the front part. Did you see? This is the front part that has the V neckline, and this is the back part. When you open it up, this is what you are going to have. So I'll go ahead and cut out facing for the back part. I will also cut out facing for the front part. So for the front part now, I've cut out a facing for it. So let me open it to the right side. So this is the right side of the front. And I'm gonna place the facing. Right side of the facing will face the right side of the main fabric. Did you see the way I cut out the facing? You can cut out the facing anyhow you want. So this is how I cut out my facing. So I'll go ahead and sew. Right side of the facing will face the right side of the fabric, and I'll go ahead, pin it down like this, and then make a stitch around that point. Did you see? For the back, I've also cut out a facing for it. Note you can use your bias tape to do this. So I'm going to face the right side of the facing, will face the right side of the fabric, and I'll go ahead and sew the neckline by the ½ inch that I've added. So this is my front part. I've gone ahead to sew the facing. Did you see? When you are done, you notch it around that point. You can top stitch, but I do not top stitch, and then you turn it to the right side, to the wrong side now. Did you see? So this is what you are going to have. So this is the second part of the front. You turn the facing to the wrong side, and this is what you're going to have. Bear in mind that the front is going to have like a button. So that was why we left 1 inch on the front part, because of the flap for the button. So the next thing is I'm going to also close up this part. So I'm going to like do another facing. Did you see? I'm going to like do another facing for this part. So there are different ways to go about it. So for this part, you want to fold the facing on top and then go and sew by ½ inch. When you are done, you flip it to the wrong side. You can as well do the same for this part as well. Did you see? Go ahead and sew that part, and when you are done, you flip it to the wrong side, and I'm going to attach a hemming gum to it. So let me show you what I've done so far. So this is what I have after I was done. You can see I've turned it to the wrong side. So I also attached a facing for that part. You can see I've turned it to the wrong side. and this is what I have for the front. You know, the front is going to have a button and it's going to overlap. So that was the 1 inch that we added. So you want to like bring the back part as well. So this is the back part. So for the facing, I'm going to attach a hemming gum to like hold it down. So I'll go ahead and sew. So I will match the front, the right side of the back facing the right side of the front, and I'll go ahead and stitch it on the shoulder. So I'll go ahead and sew on the shoulder part. And when I was done, this is what I have. So this is what I have after I was done sewing on the shoulder, after I was done joining on the shoulder. So the next thing is to work on the sleeve side. Did you see on the sleeve? So I've cut out a fabric that is long enough to cover the sleeve, and the width is 5 inches. By the time you fold it, you are going to have 2.5. So I'll go ahead and stitch by half an inch, having 2 inches as the band. So I'll just use my pin and hold it. So on the fold is 2.5. So I'm going to use half inch to sew it. So I'll go ahead and sew by half an inch, and this is what I'm going to have. I'm going to do the same for the 2 sleeves, for the 2 sides of the sleeve. And then you want to go ahead and sew the side seam. You want to go ahead and, you know, did you see, make a curve like this and sew the side seam by the half inch that you have added. So when I was done, this is what I have. I've sewn the 2 sides. So I'll go ahead and notch the armhole side. Did you see? I'll go ahead and notch the armhole side so that it will relax. This is on the wrong side now. So this is what I have after I was done. So you can see the facing. So I'll go ahead and attach a hemming gum on the facing and iron this down. I'll go ahead attach a hemming gum for the front now. For the front facing, I will attach a hemming gum, and then I'll go ahead and sew that front part by like 1 inch, like stitch on it. Did you see? I'll go ahead and stitch on it. After I've attached a hemming gum to hold down the facing on the wrong side, I will stitch like 1 inch. I will run a thread of like 1 inch on the front part. And after that, I'm gonna bring what I have here. I have the length is able to go around the hem part of the dress, and I have it as 9 inches. 9 inches. So I'm gonna stitch one side of it like this. Did you see? Close up the one side and turn it to the right side now. So I'm gonna go ahead and join on the hemming part. So you want to stitch the both side, cover the both side of that band, and the width of the band is 9 inches. By the time you fold it, you're going to have 4 and 4.5. The half inch is for sewing allowance, leaving you with 4 inches. I hope you understood. Half inch is sewing allowance, leaving you with 4 inches. So the 4 inches is going to be the length of the band. So you make sure you close the 2 sides of the band. We want to go ahead and attach on the hemming part. So when I was done, this is what I have. You can see I have ironed everything down. I have run a stitch around that point. You can see I've used my hemming gum to hold the facing. I've used the hemming gum to hold everywhere, and this is what I have so far. And I've also sewn the down part. So I've also sewn the down part. So the next thing is to get the waistline from the shoulder. Get your waistline. Mine is 15 inches. So I'll just go ahead and get my waistline, because I'm going to be sewing around that point. I'm going to be sewing around that point to get the drawstring that we're going to be adding. So you mark your 15 inches, which is your waist length. You are also going to do that for the back part. You want to also get your waist length 15 inches and also make a straight line on the back part. So this is what I have so far. So the next thing is to cut out a fabric. This is 2 inches. As you can see, I folded ½ inch on both sides, leaving 1 inch. Did you see? It's 2 inches, but I folded ½ inch on one side, leaving it as 1 inch. So I'm going to be attaching it as the drawstring. So I'm going to use it to cover up that line that I made, and I'm going to stitch on both sides of it. I'm going to stitch on both sides, and I'll also do that for the back, and then come towards this point. Did you see? So this is going to be like the drawstring casing, and it's 2 inches. You fold the ½ inch on both sides, having it as 1 inch. So you're going to keep it on that waistline, and so on the 2 sides. So when I was done, this is what I have. I've gone ahead to stitch. Did you see the line? I've stitched through the back side to the other front part of it. So this is what I have. So you want to go ahead and put in your I've sewn like a tiny rope. The rope is able to cover ×2 of my waist and still have excess fabric. So I'm going to be using my pin now, my safety pin, to, did you see the way I'm putting it, to put it through the casing. So I have a rope, like you can use a fabric to create that rope. You can use anything, maybe a cord as the rope, anything that you wish to, and then pass it through that point. And this is what I have after I was done. This is so beautiful. You can see it came out so nice. Did you see that? So this is what I have after I was done. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. So you can draw the waistline anywhere you want it to be, and you want to go ahead and attach your buttons. Did you see the fabric has a button? So this is the button I have for now, but I will later add like a black button, because this has a mixture of white and black. So you want to go ahead and attach a button to it, create a buttonhole and attach your button to it. And this is what I have. Isn't this beautiful? So this is the final result of this dress, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. And if you find this tutorial very interesting, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up, and see you in my next tutorial. Bye bye.